Hi, I'm Neil Gallagher, and I'm going to take you through Megaplants. It's a new procedural vegetation tool that came out with 5.7, and I've been having a lot of fun with it. Here we can see it here in this volume box, and you can move it around on your landscape, and you can place it all over the place, and it's really powerful how big you can make this. So if I just zoom out a little bit, and here we are here, I'm just going to scale this up here to be the size of the landscape, which I'll take through in a second. There we go, really quite dense. And you can make it more dense or more sparse, so you could really dial that down there, or you can crank it right up to be a lot thicker. And down here, there's this little tool here called the Global Foliage Actor. And with this, you can customize the wind speed. You can make it look a little bit more older, or the seasonal change. So let's just crank up that wind speed and see what that looks like. There we go, very blowy. A bit like the game Witcher, this is where the tool really started, which you might have heard a little bit from the GDC conference. So if I just take that wind off for a second, and if I just zoom in here, this is what's really great about this as well. We can get this really lovely seasonal change. So I'm just going to zoom into these leaves here because it's quite powerful how great this is. And so here we go. I'm just going to dial that up so we can just change the season. Or if I bring that back down, what I really love here is this health here, where I can make it really sort of like late autumn, nice, crisp. It'll make it really dead looking. And if I just take it to about halfway through, and again, you can make that look. But that's really nice to be able to get that much color change. It's great, isn't it? And then if we zoom out here, it really does look good. Okay, so I'm going to take you through this how we create this now, and also I'm going to show you how we can create custom trees, which will be totally unique as well. So there'll be you'll have like unique trees that you can place throughout your scene. So let's start by taking you through the pipeline. So the first thing we will need to do is go up to Edit, and you'll need to go to the plugins, and you're going to need to look for the vegetation. There's three things you need to do. So the first thing here is to activate that. Click that on, procedural vegetation. It will ask if you want to restart. Don't quite start quite yet. So yeah, let's close that down. And let's go into the project settings. And inside here, we want to search for nanite foliage. There it is there. Nanite foliage experimental. Click that on. And then there's one more thing as well. If you just go down, this is more just to double check. Most people have this setting, but just inside platform, inside Windows, there's SM6, and that's going to enable you to all the shadows to look good. It's just a shader model 6, part of the DirectX 12. It's using the newer DXC shading compiler instead of the older FXC compiler. So with that done, click reset. It will just take a couple of ticks, and then you'll be back up and running. And then I'm going to take you through how to make all this. Okay, I'm going to show you where the asset zoo is now, so you can make your own custom tree. So if you just come here and just switch on engine content, and then if we just go down to where it says engine, and it'd be quicker if you just search veg here, and we can go in here to the procedural vegetation editor, this one here, content one. Open that up, and inside here we're going to go into the sample assets, maps, and there it is there, asset zoo. So just double click that, and here we are inside here. It's just got a few little samples, so you can have a little explore of these. These are the static meshes, so you can do the old method where you can create your own custom trees, and you do the old static way, but now we can use this new skeletal method here. So how do we create these? So let's take you through that process. Okay, so to make your own custom tree, What we're going to do, we will just go back, make a folder in your top directory. So just right click in the content, new folder. I've just called mine tree Megaplant. And just before we dive in, actually, there is in Fab here, if we just search Megaplants, there is like a load of trees to get you started as well. And that seems to be growing all the time as well. Like these lovely Japanese looking ones over here, the cherry blossom and so on. So have a little explore of those. They'll be just great to get you up and running. But if you want like a totally unique custom tree, like we want to do now, I'm going to take you through that process there. You can see there's one I've made earlier. So inside a new folder, just going to right click in here, and we will go into the foliage, and there is the procedural vegetation. Just going to click that, just going to take one of these, like this one here, and going to go create. Okay, there we go. We've got a new one there. And just going to give it a unique name. So new tree. Open this up. Okay, great. And inside here, this is where we can control and create our custom shapes. So if I double click this, we can see here is the tree. And here is the next one, and they generally go from large to small, which makes total sense. So let's make a custom tree, a slightly larger one, maybe bigger trunk. Maybe we can add some gravity to it so it's totally different to all the others. So if I just move this up out the way, okay, and yeah, let's start with this one here. So maybe I should quickly take you through these settings as well, what they all do. So inside each one of these, you can modify the shape. So you can see here, you can take carve the branches off. Okay, make that totally different. These are all the joints. If you wanted to see the effect with the tree here, you can see as I select it, this disappears. So if you wanted to keep that there, you can do Control L, and you get this little up here. It says previewing output node, so it will lock it. So that way you can go through here and you can change the settings. So if I was to change the scale, for example, make it twice as big. There we go. And you get this little mannequin down here, which will help you with the size. And to find that mannequin, it's just in here. Yeah, there's their mannequin. And there we go. You can see the little shortcut there, Control M. So if I just do Control M, you can see with and without. So he's quite useful to have him there. So there we go. Got a really big tree now. Let's add some gravity to it. Make it. See what this does. Crank this up. And we give it a bit of direction. So there we go. And let's just, for fun, let's just see what happens if I really crank that up. There we go. And here we've got phototropic. So that's, you can see here, it's sort of creating that nice twisted look, which is great. I'm going to go for gravity, I think, and I'm just going to make it sort of lean over a little bit, maybe 0.2. Okay, good. And we've got scale, which I've just done, made it 2. Remove branches, threshold. So let's see what happens if I crank that up. So there we go. We can see it's affecting that. I want to keep the foliage on there, so I'm not going to get rid of those. Of the amount of bones. So that would be a lot more heavier. You can see I've got almost 1,000 joints, where if I crank it up, it's taking the joints down, it's optimizing it a little bit more. So I'll just leave it by default on 1. Okay, 300 joints. foliage. So if you wanted to change these little foliage pieces, here we go. You can see you can open up these, and if I was to open up these, you can see here. So click this, and then that will give you access there where you could go in and you could change. You could put in a custom bit of foliage there, create something quite unique, and foliage distributor. Okay. So there we go, you can see it's thinning out as well. There we go, so that would be very good for like a winter kind of scene. Okay, just going to go back to the default. Okay, so we want to change this trunk now, and we could even change the branches to be a little bit thicker in here. So that is inside Mesh Builder here. So if I double click this, and if I come down to where it says Profile, and if I switch this to be 0, and if we crank up the scale here to be 5 times as thick, there we go, it's very thick now. And we can change this here, we can dial this around to make it even bigger up the trunk. If I hold down Shift, you can add some extra little points. And you've got nice fine control here where you can add a little Bezier curve to it, really refine and tweak it. Yeah, it's a bit too big. One little pro tip as well with trees is wherever you cut the volume, it's generally the same volume. So if I was to cut all these branches here, it should equal the same volume here. So if I was to make like a bigger trunk area in the middle and thin it out, that wouldn't really sort of make sense with nature. So that's one thing to look out for. And can you see here apply profile to branches? If I click that, that's going to thicken up these branches a little bit as well. So yeah, there's quite a lot you can do there. Play around with all this. To make this totally unique, we just need to give this a unique name. So if I was to right click and say rename here, and I'm going to call this number / just put new tree at the end, and then all we've got to do is you just simply export this little button here, export, and you can totally copy this. You can copy and paste and just keep going through making new trees. You can make as many new custom trees as you wanted to. So it's only got 4 nodes, but you can definitely export these out. So you just attach this in here, put that in there, and then that will give you access to view it. So if I was to double click this now, oh, it's locked. This one's locked, isn't it? So if I just Control L, just to unlock that one, and now I can double click this, and you can see as I go through them, they will change. And then here we can go back to that Mesh Builder and profile scale 1. There we go. That's, for example, that's like a new, or this overall scale here. I can make it like 1.5, so it's not quite as big. If I double click that, we should be able to see the difference between that one and that one. There we go. So got unique trees there. And then all you simply do, you just select them when you're happy with them. Select as many as you want, and then just go to export, and then you can see it's got selected outputs. You could do them all if you've made a load of trees. There we go. Selected outputs. Click export. And just before I do that, can you see here, I just need to change this directory. Just so, there we go. So I'm going to put it, remember I created that folder earlier. So I'm just going to go up to where it is. There you go, tree Megaplant. Okay, and then to get them ready for export, I just need to give everything unique names. So it's going to call each tree unique name. So just going to call it, say, number 6 / new tree. And then I'll just call the next one number 7. There we go. And 7 as well. So 6, 7. Now they have unique names, so I have them selected, and then all I simply do is just go up to export here, export those, and just make sure you've got selected outputs because we don't want to select the other trees I haven't adjusted. So, but by all means, if you've made adjustments to all the trees, then do a batch export. Click export, and it will take a couple of minutes to process all that, and then I'll show you how to add it to the volume. Okay, so let's add that custom tree now. So here we have the volume. I'm just going to hold down Alt and drag that out so I've got a copy of it. And if I go over here to the details panel, and we can go through, we can just work out which one. So this one's going to be the small one, and this one's going to be the biggest one. So I'm going to change the bigger ones, and with it selected down here, you can see this is where we can add our custom one. So I'm going to click this one, and there's the one that I've made unique. It's got my name on it. And hey presto now, that's the one with the gravity. It's a totally unique shape. It's got a thicker trunk. Okay, good. So now let's go and add that to our level. So I will now just go to the level. Here we are here. Okay, and let's start off by adding a landscape. So Shift 2 is the shortcut, or if you prefer, you go here and choose it landscape. There we go. And we'll just go to Manage, New Landscape, and I'm just going to leave it by default, that's fine. Going to go Create, and just going to move it with Shift 1, or again, just show where that is there, Shift 1, Shift 2, and then Shift 3 for foliage. So I'm just going to move this over, because I'm making a little side scroll game. So there we go, just going to move the landscape up to be about there. And then just going to give it a quick few hills. Just going to move it over just a little bit as well. Excellent. Okay, so let's just quickly add some hills to it. So again, Shift 2 into landscape mode. I'm in sculpt, and I'm just going to add some hills in the background. Just going to get a bigger brush size. Yeah, that's fine actually as it is. So there we go, nice big hills in the background, and then not quite so big in the foreground. There we go, just trying to create sort of like foreground, midground, and background. Bit of detail there. There we go, might go slightly higher in the background there. Okay, and a little bit of noise quickly. So it's quite nice just to break it up a little bit. And then you can play around at your own time, adding a lot more detail. Okay, so then I'm just going to add that volume. So to add the volume, if we just simply go back to Asset Zoo, going to save the landscape I've just made. There we go. So just going to grab this, and while I'm in here, I'll just grab this little device down here for the wind control. So that's the BP Global Foliage Actor. So just show you where that is as well. Procedural Vegetation Editor, Sample Assets, Materials, Global Foliage Actor, and that's where you can find that one. So I'm just going to select that, and I'm going to select my volume as well. And I'm going to copy that. So edit, copy. Okay, and then I'm going to go back into my level that I've made. Don't need to save this. Okay, and I'm just going to paste it just here. Right click in here and just go edit, paste here. There we go. And I'm just going to need that little device. There it is there. Just going to make sure it's on top of the landscape here. Little pro tip, if you just click end on the keyboard, that will dock it to the landscape. And here's our foliage. And again, just going to move it to the middle of this landscape, like so. There we go, you can see the trees starting to appear, so that's like at the start of the video now. Okay, and then I can just make that bigger. So down here we have the scale, so if I make it, say, 200 by 200, and a little bit more height as well. Oh, a bit too much there. Let's try 50. There we go. And then you can see here, because I'm making the side scroll, I don't want the forest to start there. So I'm just going to bring that forwards just a little bit. There we go. And I can just, yeah, you can see it just needs to go just that little bit further. There we go. And then I can always just drop in some unique trees along here. Let's give that a try and see how that looks. Okay, there we go. I think that's everything I needed to say. One last little thing as well. Just down here we can actually select this and you can actually change the wind direction as well, which is a nice final addition to really play around with that. As for the wind settings, probably wouldn't go above 30 unless you wanted a really windy day, but you can if you really want to. You can crank this right up to whatever you want, very like stormy day if you wanted to. I think around about 20 that's quite sort of like natural. And there's one more thing to play around with the trees, just to fine tune them just that little bit more. You might not notice here where it's quite flat, but if I go off to an angle, you can see the trees are sort of following the landscape, and that's not really how they are in nature. They tend to always sort of like point up towards the sun. So you can see like definitely on that angle, they're coming out quite a lot. And they're not quite in the ground either, so we can fine tune this a little bit more. So to do that, you can either select this, this volume box here, or if I click on the trees, it's another way of doing it, and that will select the wind example PGC. So if you just right click on it, and there it is there, right click, browse to asset, or if you were to select it and do Control B, it's another way of doing it. Here we can see it here, wind example. Open that up, and in here we can play around with some of these attributes now. So in here we've got the transform points, so we can start with that. So I guess the biggest thing would be to fix the absolute offset, and sorry, the absolute rotation. Yeah, absolute rotation. That's the first thing. But now they look very sort of CG, just pointing straight up. And maybe, yeah, you can see just sort of sticking out the ground a little bit as well. So let's just fine tune that a little bit more. So we've got this offset here. So if I go 8, oh, sorry, that'd be -8, wouldn't it? Let's go downwards. There we go. Maximum offset -12. So that'll create a bit of variation. And we can add a little bit of rotation so they don't look all the same angle. So we can do 8 by 8. There we go. So that's changed that. I'll just change it here so we can see. Just varying that up a little bit. And let's see what happens if we dial some of this around. Oh, that was a bit too much, wasn't it? Looks like a storm has come through. Okay, let's just tweak that a little bit more. So I went 8 by 8, and then let's just be really subtle with this. 2 maybe, and then maybe 3 the other way, and then we should have some different angles. That's X, Y, and Z. If I just crank it up a little bit more so you can see what's going on. Maybe. There you go. You can see you're getting quite a lot of variation there. So I'm just adjusting, just fine tuning it a little bit, making it try and look a little bit more organic. It's one of those things you just need to eyeball. Okay, good. And let's play around with the density a little bit more now as well. Okay, so if I now go to the surface sampler here, and here we can fine tune that. So if I just dial that right down to like 0, 2, you can see it's like really sparse now. Okay, so go back to the start, that's where we were. Okay, so just gonna 0.5, it's a bit too dense even, 0.4, 0.2, 0.1 even. There we go. Yeah, so you can definitely be a lot more sparse, especially when we start getting a landscape material in here. That all helps optimize it quite a lot. Just to show you as well, what's lovely about this, we can refine this landscape as well, which is really great. So if I go go Shift 2, what's great about this is fully customizable. So I can move this around, for example. Okay, then all I need to do is just select the volume box. So there it is there, Shift 1. Just going to come out of landscape mode, there we go. And if I just, well, I can see my landscape's just going slightly above it there, but there you go, you can see it's updating, which is absolutely great for art direction. Just that instant feedback, that's such a great feature. And there we go, that's pretty much everything I needed to show for this. So let's just have one last look at the game. Play an editor, we can see the vista, and I'll try and not die this time by falling off the edge of the world. And I really love the way you just come up through those trees. That's really nice. There we go, look at that, it's lovely, isn't it? Can't wait to make more of this. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what comes next. There's a lot more to come with this foliage, so it's going to be really fun to see. Okay. And just a final footnote, if you've not had a chance yet to watch the Witcher 4 tech demo from the State of Unreal 2025, it's pretty cool to look through all the what's happening with this foliage and the future sort of technology that's going to be happening with this nanite technology. You can see it's really well optimized and runs really well. And to see it on such a big landscape, this tech demo break down the foliage really nicely and present the they've got a nice voxel breakdown of this to show how the level of detail breaks down on this on these pine trees. So there we go. There we can see the nanite in action there. Very clever technology, and I think it's going to be quite a game changer. I'm going to start seeing this more, and it's really well optimized as well to work well with ray tracing. So that's great to see. Yeah, so if you have not had a chance yet, do have a little look through this. I'm just going to wait for the pine needles to come up because this is just incredible here. I was really blown away by this. Just to see this much detail, it's just crazy. So yeah, there we go. Okay, so hopefully you enjoyed this tutorial, and I really hope it helps you get to grips with the basics of this technology. And yeah, but feel free to add some comments if you got any questions about anything. And good luck with your creations.